Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Fizz here again. This will probably be the last video for today, at least. This makes like 7 or 8. I do have another video scheduled to come out tomorrow morning overviewing gym changes and stuff like that, but I want to get all the build ones out as soon as possible so people could, let me turn the music down a little bit, decide what they wanted to do with their builds. Now, this is going to be a template build, or a template tree rather, for self-cast Dark Pact. I want to say up front, this is super experimental. If you are not an experienced player, I do not recommend you use this. Regardless of who you are, I do not recommend you league start this. This is like completely like untested waters. This is very likely to not be good. I mean, like, you will be able to clear, you know, like up to like low reds maybe without hitting a wall, but as has been previously, sorry, I had a hair on my tongue. So as has been previously, Dark Pact never really struggled clearing maps, even in its kind of like neutered state. It was a little clunky, but it was fine. Self-cast Dark Pact always struggled heavily when it came to bossing, even just doing map bosses. If you're in softcore, especially like softcore trade, if you want to give this a go, feel free. This is, I actually struggled a lot making this tree because there's so much stuff that I like want to give the build to make it better, but you just don't have the points for it. So in the end, I like, again, I'm an HCSSF only, or HCSSF HC only player. That's like the lens I view the game through. So I was like really trying to make this build survivable. That was my main goal. You can definitely drop a ton of tankiness on this tree and get way more damage. I want to get that out of the way up front. But again, one last time, I do not recommend you start this, okay? Even if you are experienced, unless you're a total Dark Pact crackhead and you've been waiting years for the skill to be buffed, I do not recommend you start this, okay? It's as volatile, if not more, as league starting one of the new skills. You know, it can be completely hit or miss. So I cannot stress that enough. If you do not know, Dark Pact got a buff this league, both to skeleton cast. So if you want to do Dark Pact skeletons, I have another video for a league start based on that, which is a lot more solid. If you don't know what you want to do, I highly recommend doing the skeleton Dark Pact because that is tried and true. That will be very strong. And then self-cast also got quite a large damage buff, like 21% more damage, I think was the number. Sadly, no like quality of life buffs to the gym. However, there were major quality of life buffs to the play style on the tree. We just have to hope that it's enough. So I'm gonna go through the basic idea behind the build, and then I will kind of like dive into the tree, okay? And ignore the gear. I literally just copy pasted the gear that I had on my Dark Pact skeleton character. The gear, don't look at it. It's not relevant. You don't want minion stats on your gear, okay? I just literally ported it over. It's, again, like, please do not look at the gear section. It's not complete. This is just a tree. Treat it as just a tree, okay? It's just a passive tree. And then skills are valid too. I want to point out one thing really quickly here. I have Defiance Banner in this socket. If you want to run Defiance Banner, you can, but I have it here to simulate a 10% mana reservation, to simulate, what is the name of the new gym? The one that lets you teleport back in time. I don't remember what it's called, but that's what it's supposed to simulate because that reserves 10% of your mana. That's what it's supposed to emulate. Now, I did actually want Defiance Banner as well. So in the final build, you can drop increased duration and just put in the temporal rift or whatever it's called ability in here and reserve both of them, and you should be good to go. Again, if you're playing like softcore trade and you don't want all of this tankiness, you can definitely drop some in favor of more damage. There's way more damage you can get on the tree. Anyway, let's get into it. So obviously Dark Pact sacrifices a large chunk of your health to deal damage. It feels pretty much fine currently in terms of sustain in modern day PoE for clearing. Where it really gets hung up is bossing, because you need such fast cast rate. You're self-casting, right? You're gonna have spell echo and all sorts of other stuff going on that your health bar will just like delete itself very quickly on bosses. So the whole goal here is to try to mitigate that. A lot of the tree is built kind of like an RF tree. You want lots of life regen. We also use vitality to get more regen. We want as much regen as possible. Now, the two major things that kind of enable this build are going to be infused flesh and vampirism. Now, combined, I'm just going to summarize it for you. Combined, 50% of the damage you take is recouped as life over 4 seconds. Now, this combined with our crazy amount of life regen that we stack, and with vitality, etc., we should have tons and tons and tons of life regen, as you can see over here. As well as, hopefully, you'll get an amulet with Chaos Leech on it as well, and you'll have some leech going, and you should just be like sustaining a lot. We have no way of knowing if this is like actually sustainable on a end game boss until you get there and you try it, right? Especially a POB right now is not accurate. A lot of the gyms aren't updated. A lot of the stuff isn't actually fully implemented yet. So just, again, grain of salt. This is super experimental. We don't know if this will work. For clearing maps, this should do phenomenally, especially with all these small nodes. I know a lot of people hate life gain on kill, but there's a lot of life gain on kill in these nodes and stuff like that. And for clearing a map, that's fine. It makes it really smooth. So you could probably even level as Dark Pact if you really wanted to. So this is kind of the basic idea of the build. We're going Occultist with Void Beacon into Withering Presence, Forbidden Power, and Profane Bloom, because we are scaling crit on the build. There is a chance, again, because they're buffing the damage of it, you may be able to forego crit, and then save a bunch of nodes on the tree and then spec them into other places like raw chaos damage, more tankiness, whatever you decide to do. So I tried speccing into a lot of different places, going down to the evasion side of the tree and stuff like that, and everything felt a little wonky. This is eventually what I settled on. Again, I'll go through the skills here. So we have Dark Pact with Intensify, Spell Echo, Void Manipulation, increase critical damage and increase critical strikes. Now, Intensify you can replace with Conk Effect if you want to. Spell Echo you can place Unleash if you want to. Up to you. Spell Echo will definitely, I believe, will be more DPS. And then Intensify is just quality of life, you know, mixed with whatever. You'll have crazy cast speed, so you should hit max Intensify stacks very quickly on bosses. Now, next up for the auras and reservations, we have Enfeeble with Blasphemy, Determination, and Vitality. Vitality speaks for itself. Again, tons of life regen. Determination, not yet updated, but with armor getting huge buffs, this is an easy socket into any build that will make it 100 times tankier. Not literally 100 times tankier, but it will give it tons and tons of tankiness. The gym is not updated in PoE. It will now also give a bunch of flat armor. And I'm experimenting a little bit in this build. I'll get to it later, but I'm experimenting a little bit in this build with the guard skill as well, being Molten Shell. I'll explain why it's an experiment in a minute. So then Enfeeble with Blasphemy. Again, this is assuming you have a Curse on Hit Despair ring. Until you get a Curse on Hit Despair ring or a way to automate Despair, I recommend just blaspheming Despair there instead. If damage feels fine, then use Enfeeble. Another thing you can also do if you're in softcore is blasphemy a Despair and then use a Assassin's Mark on hit ring. That'll net you a lot more damage, especially on single target. So after that, why is this kind of an experiment? Well, cast when damage taken VMS is normally only reserved, in the past has been reserved for builds that get a lot of armor, because it scales better that way. If you're a build that doesn't have a lot of armor, you're better off taking like a Mortal Call or a Steel Skin. But with Determination being so cracked now and armor being buffed really hard, it might actually be feasible to take Molten Shell on builds that previously you wouldn't. In the past, you would never see a witch taking Molten Shell. But I put it in this POB. It might actually be pretty good. We'll see. I have it in with increased duration, and again Defiance Banner, which is just a placeholder for the new temporal shift ability, which does reserve 10% of your mana. Now, depending, you know, it's again experimental, but there's enough mana available to reserve both Defiance Banner and the new temporal rift ability, depending on how it feels, how good. I've heard good things about Defiance Banner, and it honestly scales really well with the new determination. Since it gives flat armor, you'll have a bunch of armor, so Defiance Banner got honestly pretty buffed this league from that. So might end up running both. It really kind of comes down to how the mana sustain feels, because Dark Pact does eat mana. Next up, a simple Wither Totem setup. You see this on like any Chaos build. It's super important for single target. Nothing more to say there. Last up, movement, Flame Dash, faster casting, Arcane Surge. If you want to, you can throw in Shield Charge, faster attacks if you want. Obviously, Fortify is not really much of a thing anymore. So yeah, if you just whatever, movement skill, not super important. I believe that's it. So anything else on the tree? Not really. You focus on power charges, stuff like that. Path down to combat stamina. This mastery is important because it gives you mana reservation efficiency on determination. Other than that, this mastery is really nice for clear. So I am running Profane Bloom in the build. With the amount of AoE we get, we may actually be able to forego Profane Bloom. Not that, you know, anyone would ever want to do that, but if you want to give up a little bit of clear, you can take Malediction instead. If you're in softcore, you can forego Profane Bloom, take Malediction, throw in, again, you can put like Despair into your Blasphemy, and then Assassin's Mark on hit Ring, and then keep the Enfeeble, or, you know, what have you. The sky's the limit there on whatever you want to do. But you can drop like Determination or one of the curses or something, and then sock it in Herald of Ice. Since we're scaling a bunch of crit, Herald of Ice will give you some form of clear on the explosions. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get super frisky with it, you could try Herald of Ash, but I don't think it would be nearly as good as Herald of Ice for scaling crit. I do believe back in the day people use Herald of Ash, but not if they were going crit, because, you know, Herald of Ice just scales too well with crit. Yeah, I am rambling a little bit, but I think that's it. Yeah, just Void Beacon into Withering Presence, Profane Bloom, Forbidden Power last. Other than that, I do want to say you can also do this build theoretically as an Inquisitor. Why Inquisitor? Inquisitor gets way more regen just for free off of Pious Path. It's incredibly strong. Always being on Consecrated Ground just gives you tons of regen, and actually got buffed this league as well. Next up, Righteous Providence. You get a bunch more crit chance with this. So this will make your crit way higher, basically for free. You just get the stat stack for free. And then Augury of Penitence, there's nothing else to take really but 8% less elemental damage. Hey, it's something, right? So you can do it on Inquisitor if you really want to. Who knows which is better? Chances are, for like lower gear levels and for softcore, probably Occultist. For like really high gear levels, just because Inquisitor scales so well with crit, it might end up winning out. That's how it has been in the past. I don't really know. I haven't crunched the numbers. I'm super tired. It's 6 p.m. and I did not sleep last night, so I'm trying to reset my sleep schedule for league start. So yeah, I mean, it just tossing around ideas. I probably wouldn't do anything other than those two ascendancies. New Trickster is a little whack, because the biggest thing it had going for it before was obviously Patient Reaper, but that got kind of nerfed. And it doesn't have a whole lot. Yeah, I don't think Trickster's a play. Either Inquisitor or Occultist for sure. And again, if you decide to go Inquisitor, you would go Sanctuary into Pious Path, into Righteous Providence, and then Augury of Penitence. And once you got Righteous Providence and Merc Lab is when you would swap over into crit. Anywho, Yep, that's it for this. POB link will be down in the description. Thanks a bunch for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, I don't recommend doing this unless you're a seasoned veteran. Even then, I don't recommend doing this because this build could completely kaput. We don't know how it's going to play out in the game. It's super risky, guys, but I wanted to put it out there in case, you know, there was already, I had a comment on one of the other videos that I did that they were looking really forward to doing a Dark Pact build to league start with. So here you go. Feel free to play with it, see how it feels. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. Again, like I said, link will be in the description. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, make sure you like it. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. Tell me what I can do better. And if you like me, maybe consider subscribing. Anywho, it for me. Hopefully Scourge is fun for you guys. Probably the last video for the day. Bye-bye. Have a good one.